Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on our YouTube account and we are doing our question and answer. So this can be about AFK Arena, AFK Journey, whatever questions you guys have, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We're going to go through some of this, hopefully make some more progression. Now remember, they have started advancing the levels. So the patch notes will be up tomorrow, which means Tuesday will be the actual patch. So we'll have our new Mauler hero. Overall, not super impressed with the new hero that's coming out, but we're going to have to see exactly where she is going to be used. And of course, if she's going to be used. Like I say, with a word of caution with new heroes, wait to build them. Wait to see exactly where they're utilized. Wait to see exactly what is going on with there. And let's see, we got Major here, Tushar, Simon, Withered Milk, Connor, yes sir, Luis. We have a lot of people here. Beans is here, Crash and Ali. Thank you guys for joining me for the Sunday stream. We went through a lot. We've been through a lot. And I was just kind of thinking, even kind of reminiscing yesterday with the amount that we've done in AFK Arena in the last 5 years is kind of crazy to think what's going on. Pull the trigger. And Benedict is here as well. How many years have we been playing? 5 years. We are at the 5th year anniversary. We actually started AFK Arena at the very, very beginning, just after kind of the initial release. I know some players beta tested it. But this is not the oldest account that we have. The oldest account we have is, I believe, on server 79. So I think it was probably about a week, maybe 2 weeks after release. So we're right at the 5 years that we have been playing this. So Benedict, it has been quite a while. And what's going on, Jubel? First time live. Thank you for joining us for live. What is going on, Shady? Are there new rates for summons, and which are they already implemented or not? The new rates are not up right now. So if you guys remember the dev notes, the rates are changing. So these probabilities for both the Stargazer and also for the Temple of Time are changing. They're going to 2.5% from 2, which means, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot when you're thinking of a 0.5, that is a 25% increase when it comes to the summoning. So essentially going from that 2 to 2.5, that is a 25% increase, which means when it comes to summons, and even here the same probability is going to apply, it is going to be 2.5. Now they said, Luis, that it is going to be before patch 1 point, and I believe it was 444, because we're on 44 or 142 right now. 144, I believe, was the patch that it would be released by. So we already know it is not going to be in this patch with the increase, which means we only have 2 patches left before we're possibly going to see this increase to that 2.5. That is the reason why I have said save all of your Stargazer scrolls, save all of your diamonds. With the rates going up, essentially, if you're using 100, let's say 100 of your time emblems, with the increase, it is going to be exponentially less to summon the heroes. And of course, when you start looking at, let's say 700 time emblems, it is going to be way, way less. I mean, you're talking saving probably 100 cards within there, which is going to be kind of crazy to see when you start getting into bigger numbers. And look at that, Shady. 1.5 years. Thank you for being a member and supporting the channel. Yeah, so guys, hold off on the summons. Now, of course, we don't know, and essentially the next hero that is coming, already looking at Dolly's Dialogue. So something to remember is Dolly's Dialogue is already up on the test server. With Dolly's Dialogue, we are going to get the next hero is going to be the Demon Lord. So it is going to be the slime hero. I forget exactly the name of it off the top of my head, but it is going to be the next hero is going to be the Dimensional Hero, which means, number one, we are going to need resources for the new Dimensional Hero to get them for free, which also means that we have 60 days until the hero is able to be essentially got. Now, if you guys remember, when we do the exchange, the new hero will pop up. It gives you a 60-day or essentially a 53-day counter before you can redeem for the new hero. So we're going to have about a month and a half. But also with that iteration, you're going to see a couple of heroes released before he actually comes available. Now, of course, if you're pay to win, if you're actually putting money into AFK Arena, you can buy the hero when they're released. The rest of it, we have to wait for the exchange. And again, if you're a newer player to essentially to AFK Arena and you haven't seen the exchange, it is the same exchange that we see when it comes to essentially the getting the Dimensional Hero. So going in there and garrison the heroes, it's kind of that same exchange we say in here. Yeah, new Mauler is coming on Tuesday, so we have 2 more days. Tomorrow, Ali, will be the patch notes, and then of course the following day will essentially be the patch itself with the changes, which I know we're still waiting. There's a lot of things that they still need to adjust, that we still need to fix, which looking, thinking of getting our collections, things like that, there's still a lot that really, there you go. Rim Uru, I forget, Rimuru. And again, I've never watched the anime. A lot of people say if I'm going to watch anime that we definitely need to. I just finished watching the Reincarnated as a Slime and they announced the collab. Yes, that is very cool. And the hero overall looks very, very cool. I love how they do the dimensionals. And of course, this is going to bring a lot of new players to AFK Arena. Like we've seen with all of our collaborations, it's really cool to see the crossovers that they do. And I guess according to a lot of other players, they have said that this crossover is huge, that the anime, I guess the series, is very, very big. It is incredible how much diamonds and stargazer you can get when you don't spend them. Yes, Asta, you are spot on right there. If you stop spending them, it seems like they come very, very fast. And I've noticed that exact same thing where if you look just through regular gameplay, we're already north of 100 of our stargazer scrolls. And of course, we're coming up on 800 of our time emblems. Once we stop spending them for a considerable amount of time, they have absolutely just kind of accumulated. Do you think it's going to only be dimensional this time? Yeah, it'll only be the dimensional Starduster. The dimensional hero will come out, and essentially then we'll get the new release for essentially the 2 more weeks before we see another hero, which I'm assuming based on the timelines. So that is how you kind of line up the timeline. So the last hero we got was the awakened version of Lucius. And now we're at, or honestly, probably a little bit above the next awakened hero timeline, which is either going to be a Mauler, a Wilder, or a Graveborn hero. Those are the 3 that we have not seen released for this year. So of course, a lot of you have been playing for a while. This is actually the 3rd iteration of Awakened Heroes that we have seen to AFK Arena. And it's pretty cool that they continue to put them out. I know, and I kind of reminiscing about AFK Arena, when we were thinking back and actually looking at when the Awakened Heroes were released, and everybody absolutely hated them. It was the worst thing ever to AFK Arena. We've seen the same with signature items. We've seen it with furniture. We've seen it with engraving. We've seen it with collections. Everything has been the absolute worst that it could ever be from AFK Arena. And yet a lot of players are still here and we are still definitely liking this game. Gonna watch live on the TV, so I won't be able to enter the chat. What's going on? So watching me on the TV, that is right. I have Liberta, Lucila, Lavatoon, and Damia. Who is next on the list? That I would probably hold off a little bit. When you start looking at utility, past those 4, you're kind of getting more into kind of the niche realm with the heroes, and of course the cost. Again, I would wait. I would literally wait to see who is going to be coming next, because essentially if we have the ability, or essentially they come out with a new Celestial or Hypo that is really, really high utility with the better rates that we know are coming in the next 1 or 2 patches, you'll have the ability to build them super early. Just started playing 20 days ago, but I'm liking the game. It's really cool, Benedict, and there's so much in the AFK Arena. There is absolutely a kind of crazy amount of heroes. How do you know where to place the heroes? And shout out from God, I've been playing for 5 years and subscribed for a while now. So a lot of the heroes, it depends what they do. So when you think of the placement of the actual heroes in here, there's a couple things to remember when you look at the formations. And there we go, guys. There's another 5 Stargazer Scrolls. But even looking in formations is when you start looking big picture where heroes need to be placed. Most of them are going to be dependent on what they do. So even we'll kind of break down a quick formation here, because of course, guys, this is the question and answer. So if we're looking at the formations here, so if you're running Ulna, of course, looking at Belinda, Ulna is going to protect a frontline hero. So this works perfect. Ulna only works up front. If you put her in the back, it doesn't work. There's a couple of heroes that don't really make a difference if they're in the back line or in the front line. Even looking here, Beguile ability from the original version of Nomura is of course going to charm. And again, thinking of the abilities, most of the time in the front line, you are going to be sitting on tanks, or you're going to be sitting on right here. There's a tank, there's a tank. This is usually the lineup you're going to see. A majority of the time it is going to be a tank, but also it is going to make a big difference on who the opponent team is and kind of how they're built, exactly how it's going to look. Because even looking here, let's say in this formation, We have Leica up front, which is going to provide the haste. We have Brutus in here. So Brutus is going to pop up in the middle, and I'll show you. So he'll pop up in the middle. Leica will die. And there we go. Leica dies. The immunity is going to sit on Brutus, essentially waiting for Thorin to get the retaliation ability up. And again, this is very, very dependent on the formations that you're fighting. Usually you'll see a lot of the tanks up front, like Brutus, the very heavy shielding tanks that can take a hit. There are, again, some one-off exceptions if you're running Alna, if you have a couple different ones. And there's also a lot of tanks that are kind of tank slash support that will come from the back row. So thinking of, running like a Tamaris or a hero like that, that will actually come from the back row to the front row very, very fast, apply some crowd control, which makes it incredibly easy to go in there. What's going on, Lindsay? Good morning. I hope you're having a good day. Sure am. We just got done with soccer. It was hot as can be. We're talking 80 plus degrees outside. We'd be able to purchase the diamonds for Dimensional for $15 before they've done it. So I think they're going to do it again, Shady. We've seen a lot where they are cheaper. Better to pronounce the name Nimaru. Better start practicing to pronounce the name. I'm definitely going to have it. It's worth playing the game on a new server if you want to be. Yes. So just like what, and I think it's Fragedy, starting on a new server. So if you're newer to AFK Arena, absolutely. New servers have a very, very big advantage because you have a lot of new players into the server, which is exactly what you want. So even looking here, when we start big picture, looking at the rankings and everything, all the heroes in here are built. All the players, looking at Blossom, looking at Jigo, all of these heroes are well established. These are players essentially that have been playing for years and years and years. And looking down here, guys, look at the regions. We have 48 regions. The further you're going back, and even the older servers that you're playing on are going to be a lot more difficult to essentially get through because of the length of time that players have been playing. Even these guys were already cleared pretty much on all of the towers. Been focusing, and I always focus on the towers. I cannot stress it enough. New player, old player, focusing and building out and farming these towers are incredibly easy. And of course, this gives me the ability to answer the questions. But yes, new servers, you'll be in a lot better position, especially if you are going to, if you're going to be pushing and honestly playing AFK Arena instead of just playing kind of AFK every now and then. But yeah, it should be $15, like what Major said. I would have preferred One Piece or JJK. It might come. They might come. I mean, they said there would be a minimum of 1 crossovers. If you guys remember from the dev notes and everything else, they said there would be a minimum of 1 crossover, but that doesn't mean that there couldn't be another one. If it's a big collab, still only 1 hero. There are a few characters I would like to see. Yeah, I know, and I'm surprised with the 1 character, why they didn't bring more. What's going on, Alfred Us? I remember them being $60, so when they were singles, when they were non-collabs. Yeah, some of them shady, like when we released and when we did the Dimensional Hero for the original Yukio, Yukio was full price, no discount. So a lot of players, and that was the very first, essentially pay-to-win Dimensional Hero, because you couldn't get them in the exchange. So if you have a player like on your list that has Yukio, it's because they bought Yukio, just like we did. We bought Yukio when he came out, and that was the only way, and the only way essentially that you could get him at that point. I couldn't stop laughing at Yeah, I know. And I know, and some people I know put the pronunciation of what it is in the video. I'm gonna have to get the pronunciation and put it as a sticky note, probably on my monitor, so I know how to pronounce it. And I've noticed a lot, especially because we have Pokemon cards. My kids watch Pokemon. The very, very different kind of pronunciation that they have for all of those Pokemon characters. Leo, yes, I know. Only they have discounted on the new dims. Yeah, the name butchering never gets old. I've heard that from everyone. And it's funny because that is something that we literally said before we even started this AFK journey, way back when I was in casuals, before we started a lot of things, was the pronunciations of the name. I've talked to Vulcan about it. We talked to, Kosh, if you guys remember Kosh. The pronunciation of the names has always been a hurdle. And I know it will always be a hurdle. In every single game I've played, I have literally heard it. Reminder to everyone, don't spend your Stargazers. Yeah, don't spend the Stargazers or the time emblems. It is going up, which again, it should be the new patch would be 2 weeks or it is going to be the following patch, which will be 4 weeks. So you'll have a ton of resources to go ahead and build those. Thanks for all the content. I always share your tier list, and my guild been playing for 4 years, chapter 53. Really struggling to see if dragons are worth it. So right now, the big thing is when you look at the dragons, and we'll look at those in just a minute. So the draconic heroes, there's only really 3 of the 5 that are seeing any play. So a lot of players have just chosen to build them naturally. So I know that it's kind of a double-edged sword in there, which again, a lot of players are just kind of building them naturally. And I'll show you kind of what I mean. So by building them naturally, so looking in here, looking at our draconic heroes, Nyla is seeing probably the most play out of any of them. Nyla, of course, being support, but Nyla is doing an incredible amount of damage, which is the reason we are seeing Nyla in a lot of different formations. We are seeing her used in the Curse Realm, the Nightmare Corridor, Treasure Scramble, PvP. We are seeing Nyla in a lot of different places. Now, looking at Hilduin, we are seeing him here and there. We're not seeing him everywhere. Treasure Scramble, he's doing really well. In kind of a niche, maybe a Nightmare Corridor, or a Cursed Realm, really the Cursed Realm that we're seeing him in. Again, kind of a niche formation, but again, not the best in slot. And then we are seeing Gwen. Now, as Gwen, we are seeing her best in slot damage dealer, which means she is going to be a really big requirement to build out. So again, looking at Nyla, looking at Gwen, they are going to be a requirement to build out. Now, what I mean by building them naturally, like I was kind of saying to Kavi, I think it's Kavi, is when you start going into the Dragon Isle, is only using scrolls. So not using any diamonds, so only literally using the scrolls that you do get from regular gameplay, that you get from events, whatever it may be. And then in the Dragon Heart Temple, only using the insignias and only sticking to the insignias. So again, really focusing on things that we have been getting kind of naturally through the build. But there are a lot of players that are also just saving and sitting on all of the resources in their entirety, waiting till we get essentially more draconic heroes. At that point, they're going to make the decision who they want to build. Now, if you're waiting, again, this is kind of a double-edged sword, because if you're waiting for these heroes, chances are you're not going to be able to make a lot of progression, or really any progression within the Dragon Forge, meaning this is going to be very, very hard to get through, meaning essentially when you're looking at building out these heroes, short term, you could be saving all your stuff. Long term, it might hurt the advancement because you don't have all of these Dragon Speak emblems. And of course, we're going through 8, so we're not getting those epic Dragon Speak emblems. If you're not building out the heroes themselves, of course, you're not going to be able to build any more out of the Dragon Horn, which again means that you're not going to be able to make progression in this game mode itself, which could, again, hinder however you build them. I feel like, again, the 2 primary ones are Gwen and Nyla, and if you don't have them, you're going to have to sub in a few other heroes to really go in there and fill the slots that you don't have for some of those heroes. Yeah, and that's it. So do I think it's worth it? I think it's going to be worth it. Should you put a ton of diamonds in it? I would say no. I would honestly say no to put a ton of diamonds in it. Now, I did put quite a few diamonds in there, but again, not a huge drive or a huge push to put diamonds in there. And a lot of people are not. A lot of people are just going with that kind of natural build like I talked about, just using essentially what they're getting out of regular gameplay to build them up. And eventually, just like we see with all of my heroes in AFK Arena, even looking here, eventually you get a lot of them built. You get most of them built. Even looking at our wish list, almost everybody on this wish list is built in their entirety. We have what, 1, 2, 3. We have 4 heroes to build out of all of the 4 primary factions that we have to build at all. Any news about the collab? Are we guessing we'll get 2 heroes? It seems it's only 1. So only 1 hero, unless they're keeping it literally like laser tight with the collaboration, because the news came out long before, essentially, even before Dolly said anything out for us. So through the data mining, they're only showing 1 hero at this point. Haven't seen anything else. How to unlock the 1 specific hero wish list in random pulls. Oh, the desired hero summons. I think that's what you mean. So with the desired hero summons, this one, it actually unlocks with the Field of Stars. So that is actually pulled through the Field of Stars. I think it is this one, the Hero Choice Pack. I believe this is where it comes from. Yeah, so the hero choice pack can be used. So essentially the hero choice, this is where it is unlocked. And I believe, if I remember correctly, pulling way back, I believe it's at 10 ascended heroes. You get the ability to do that summon, the desired hero summons unlocks. And then of course it does amplify from there, and you get up to 6. So if you remember, guys, you do get up to 6 in here. My other 2 summons in here are from the VIP level that I have in AFK Arena. But yes, you only get 6 of these through the Field of Stars. These extra 2 do come from the VIP summons. And look at that, Kiwi. Look at that, a brand new Hippo supporter. Thank you for supporting the channel. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. Because overall, we're almost to 38,000 subscribers. It's kind of crazy to think. But let's get through some of these questions. I've been playing for 3.5 months, and I've been using Damon 5 as a carry. Currently, I'm at 37. Use his starting to dwindle. Should I use the swap service? Probably I would. Techo. So once you get further, so Damon, you'll still see a little bit of gameplay for him, but there are a lot of other heroes that are kind of definitely a lot stronger, a lot better than Damon. I know the Greyborn Tower, he's still going to do well, but when you start looking at, you know, when you look at Palmer, when you look at Jerome, when you start looking at some of the big heroes like Naruko, that really are game-changing to AFK Arena. It makes a big difference to have them or not have them. Even looking at like Aethys. So of course, we always love Mishka. Now Aethys has literally replaced Mishka in every formation, unfortunately not being used. But yeah, even looking in here, Ivan is a number 1. Of course, Oden is number 1. You could swap, even like Lady Simona is seeing a lot of gameplay, but Damon is still going to have a lot of push. It is still going to have a lot of, and essentially linking. So when you get to a point, Taco, is you can actually go through and you can link. So you, at that point, when you're in 35, you should start getting Rem, you should start getting Emilia, you should start getting Albedo. These are really the only 3-dimensional heroes that I would get, being Rem number 1 priority, but you can definitely link them together to make the utility of it. You know, when you have 1,000 furniture for a hero, you can choose with Poke Coins on what hero you need. Only 5 players get this feature. I did not know. You can choose with Poke Coins on which hero. Really? Now, I did not know that, Major. And of course, when you get to, you said 1,000 furniture, we're well over 1,000 furniture already. I'm going to have to see exactly what that means. Of course, we have Nyla in there, but yeah, we are north of 1,000 furniture at this point. We even have 20 Mythic plus max quality furniture. So as we continue to get more heroes, 73,000 Poke Coins in here. We are just saving those Poke Coins up. Yeah, I'm going to have to check out that feature. Asta on Team 1 are overall. Total power. Draconic emblems behave like time emblems. Shame there's no boost there too. Yeah, I wish there was. I definitely wish there was. Do you have to pull Hildebrand to 1 star with dragon cards? The insignias you have to use. So that is where Hildebrand comes from. You don't have to pull him with scrolls, if that's what you mean. But if you're looking in the Dragon Temple, this is where Hildebrand will come from. The question is, Jan, and we don't know the answer to this yet, is how many copies they are going to give us of Hildebrand. That is where, again, a lot of players are kind of on the fence with using a lot of resources to build out Hildebrand, because when we look in here, it says featuring 3 weeks of Hildebrand nonstop. So I don't know if that's going to be 3 more copies of Hildebrand right there. And then, of course, this says claim Hildebrand as yours in the following 4 monthly events. We don't know if that's going to be 4 more copies of Hildebrand. We don't know. So a lot of players might have really, really overbuilt Hildebrand if we were doing the summons for him. And then, of course, we don't know exactly what's going to be down here. We have, I believe it is 3 more days on the test server until this second part is up. So again, we're still waiting to see exactly what that's going to look like. And then, of course, down here with the Dragon Forge. And the Dragon Forge is at 10 floors right now. So as of right now, the Dragon Forge, like I said, is at 10 floors. That is going up to 20 floors. I don't know how far they're going to take it, but essentially the Dragon floors, they're going to make floor, let's say 1 through 10, much easier. And then they're going to add more floors to the Dragon Forge trial, similar to what we've seen with other game modes. So this game mode is going to be essentially extended and carried on like we've seen with everything else, is going up with the Dragon Forge Trials, giving you the ability to essentially get more loot as we get more of our Draconic heroes. I miss Kosh, my friends list. I talk to him every now and then, Shady. I talked to him a couple months ago. He's doing well. He's actually been playing a couple of other games. If you guys don't know, Kosh was an AFK content creator a while ago. He quit playing. I know he's Russian, lives up in Russia, and it was pretty cool. The new dimensional hero should be free like Robin Hood. Yes, Primo. You'll have the ability to exchange for all of them, and they said they would. Yes. Or you have to spend money. Yeah, you have to spend money. You'd have to see. What's going on, Zolthimus? Which Ascended hero would you build first as Chapter 37? Which first Ascended hero? So looking in here, Chapter 37, Ascended, I mean, there's a lot. Even when you look at the wish list, even breaking down here, I mean, you have Jerome, you have Palmer, you have Scarlet, absolutely. Even looking at building out, what's her name? Rosaline. But in here, you're going to go through building out, Naruko, building out Anasta, building out probably Screg, I would say, even looking at Salakai Crescio. There's going to be a different ones to. It's hard to focus on one single hero. A lot of players do go ahead and build out and utilize the desired hero summons because depending where you are, Sora is still seeing a little bit of play. And then, of course, in here, like we kind of talked about, Ivan, priority number one, but looking at Oden, looking at Damon, looking at Lady Simona, even looking at like Silas, when you think of a faction itself, Silas does incredibly well, especially in the towers. But overall, as you continue to go through here and build these out, I really just build them out, especially if you're free to play to 1 star, swap in a different hero and just keep kind of rotating through the wish list. It makes it really, really easy and fast to essentially go through there. Is the new Mauler worth building? I don't know. It is still a big question mark right now, Eric. I'm on the fence. I don't think the Mauler hero seems like it's worth building, but we have to see if she's going to be used in essentially Curse Realm Nightmare Corridor. Treasure Scramble, I feel like she's going to. How do you quick clear the labyrinth? So the labyrinth here, you actually get the sweep function. So that is the quick sweep. It comes much later. So it is unlocked later. And I believe it is when you go through and clear it 30 times. It might be 30 times or 50 times. Once you clear this game mode so many times, you get that sweep function. Which Awakened heroes are best for Naruko's collection? Which awakes are best? Not sure what you mean, Ali. Let me know. I have the best free-to-play Pharrell. Can you give me some teams? So Pharrell is pretty much support. So when it comes to AFK Arena, I do love Pharrell. Pharrell is such a very, very unique character. Really, 2 things in AFK Arena win when it comes to progression. And number 1 being crowd control, and number 2 being just overpowering everything. So Pharrell is going to work very well in a team like with Damon. If you're earlier running like Ivan and Rem or Ivan and Damon, Pharrell is going to work super well there because of the crowd control energy disintegration that he does offer. If you have him built early, it's going to work very, very well early because again, kind of the build or the design of the hero itself. So looking at like some of the common comps that we see, this is one that we see. This is kind of a really strong progression comp, and this is going to change depending on kind of where the enemy team that you're fighting. Again, early, this is going to make a big difference. Now, if you throw a hero like Pharrell in there, running him in the back row somewhere is going to work because you want the crowd control. The crowd control here is going to allow Damon to get the blood shield up. The blood shield up is essentially going to make him stronger. Ivan's going to shield Damon, and that is how this combination works. Now, a lot of players have dropped out Damon in here and added in Rem. Now, again, same kind of thing around here that Ivan is going to block Rem. Rem gets resource or gets essentially energy really quick, really, really strong, but you have to keep Rem alive. And again, that's where Pharrell can come in, is keeping Rem alive in a formation. Now, the rest of these, if you're getting to a point of, let's say, building out an Ulna will keep Rem alive for a stupid amount of time. Even if you're running like a Demia or something like that, Demia will keep the whole formation alive, which is kind of broke. So again, kind of looking at Pharrell, you can change him up along this back line quite a bit just to get that crowd control in there, and he works very, very well. I like Pharrell. Lock sweep function after, oh, there you go. So after clearing 38 or 39, it's unlocked. Pharrell, Leica SI40, yes. Solus SI30. Yeah, some of the heroes for 40, Leica is one. So what I did, and the way that I kind of recommend this is when it comes to the plus 40 signature items, you want to build this on your primary damage dealers. So when you look at the very, very highest damage dealers that we have in AFK Arena, when you look at Belinda, when you look at Rem, when you look at Liberta, when you look at Leica, Athalia, the high damage dealers, the primary damage dealers in game modes are the ones that you want to prioritize to 40, because when it comes to the damage dealers like the Awakened version of Belinda, they are super dependent on stats. That is it, guys. They are ultra dependent on the stats that you have within AFK Arena, meaning that the higher that you're building them with stats, even like here, to be competitive, we put stars on them. We also did add some higher engraving. The higher that you build your damage dealing heroes, the better they're going to perform. 1,000 extra furniture left side, like to get 36 of 36. If you have 1,000 extra 25 normal, you get the feature. Oh, only 5 players have it, so I'll never see it. Can't even get past 4 in the Forge. Yeah, it really takes summons. Literally, if you go in the Dragon Isle and you are pushing and you are literally dumping all of your scrolls, all your insignias, all of your diamonds in here, you can make some decent progression, but again, it's very expensive. Most players, and of course, the higher that you have your regular heroes built up, or have them essentially that you have them up a little bit, is going to make a big difference. Should I plus 30 Hildwyn or Nyla? I would do Nyla first. The big reason is Nyla, again, damage-wise, yes. I would definitely build up Nyla before Hildwyn, just for the simple fact. Do you think there's going to be a second dimensional? I don't think so. I don't think so, guys. I think if there was going to be a second dimensional hero, we would have already seen it. Because again, with the data mining, the first hero is already in there. Always a possibility that we could see. I'm trying to think, and I don't know if you guys know, but I don't think that I've seen anywhere that there has been kind of a second dimensional hero release that we didn't know about. But yeah, I would definitely do Nyla. Any news about the Shadow Invasion? It's kind of a dead game mode. And unfortunately, you know, for a lot of stuff in here in the Peaks of Time, Shadow Invasion, they haven't updated this in forever. And even looking at a lot of things, Trial of Gods, this says coming soon. This is kind of a dead game mode. Historic Adventure, this has been here for 4 years. I think it's like 4+ years coming soon. I think a lot of this, even Forest Mania, I think they updated it once, maybe twice, but I don't think that we've seen anything else. I really don't think. I think it's more of kind of a dead game mode. Ducks only throw stores, do not summon him. I wish I could say, but I have to go. Oh, see you later, Beans. Glad I made it to the live. Hello, what's going on, Darth? I'm 1 copy away from Ascended Eugene. Very nice. Eugene's really good. Honestly, Eugene is really good. If you want to talk about a hero that we're starting to see a lot more gameplay, even though it took forever to build him, we are still seeing him used in a lot of different formations. And again, he's being used in quite a few places. I'm going to continue building all the way to 5 stars, just again, naturally out of the guild shop as we go through. We'll get more copies of him. And again, it's going to kind of come with time. Yeah, you want him Ascended, you want him 1 star, you want to do the engraving on him, just for the simple fact that, again, you're going to be using the hero for quite a bit, and he's still being used. I don't know how long he's going to be used, but as of today, we're still seeing a use for Eugene. I have 195 diamonds saved up. You should use them on the Draconic. I would probably wait, Ghazi. If you're sitting on 200,000 diamonds, if you're really into the Draconic heroes, you definitely could go in there. You would get a ton of heroes, a ton of Draconis heroes. But again, it's kind of either or, because there's only 2 that are seeing a lot of play to dump a ton of diamonds in there. That is a lot of diamonds. What's going on, D2? Haro. Ivan is impossible to pull for me. Yeah, a lot of times desired hero summons. That is where we are. Let me pop them in some of my chests in here, some of these stones. Yeah, Ivan was very, very hard. DVD. When I pulled Ivan, it took a lot of times in there. Please read my message for the extra furniture pull. I thought I did, Major. I thought you were talking about the, yeah, that you have to have 1,000 extra furniture and 2,500 normal. Yeah, if only 5 players have it, that's kind of crazy. Let's pop these open. See if we can get anyone, which again, that's just kind of Nothing we're using. Crescio, again, another piece we're not using. Boom, those are just going to be recycled. So all 5 of those are literally just going to be recycled when we go through the Temple of Time. Again, this is all for building out the Elder Tree. That is all that I'm using all these copies in, are literally just the Elder Tree. After getting Eugene to 1-star ascended, is there other guild items that I should prioritize? Duckface, with what you're getting in there on a normal basis, not really. So, I mean, the only really, probably 4 things within the guild store. Eugene is good. Now, Eugene, of course, is one that you always want to get. The tier 4 stones and then dimensional gear. So even now, knowing that a new dimensional hero is coming, this could be well worth it to get the dimensional gear. Hoping that the hero stays a mage. If it comes out not being a mage, again, you could get some of this. The stones, the tier 1s, tier 2s, tier 3, come naturally. I would never buy this just for the simple fact of getting some gear out of here. But overall, Eugene is #1 priority, followed by the Stargazer Scrolls, followed by the tier 4 stones. And that's it. In a normal 30-day period, usually have more than enough to buy all of these out, including the stones. And I usually have some carry over to get out of there. Yeah, those 2 are the biggest priority. Again, I would prioritize Eugene #1, and there's going to be a point where we have Eugene built, and I believe they said that this goes to maybe as a red chest. I know Eugene will essentially be out of here at 5 stars, meaning that you're going to have the option to get something out of here. And then, of course, buying these out, you only have once every 30 days, which is kind of crazy. Do we know when we'll get better percentages for pulls? It's either next patch, which is not the one dropping on Tuesday, but it is really the next one. Should I focus on Athelia, Awaken Leica, or wait for the next Awaken? I would honestly focus on Athelia, the Awaken version of Athelia. But again, we know that the percentages are changing. So I'm very hesitant on building anything right now because we know they're changing. If essentially you build it now, you're spending, a couple hundred of your time emblems. And then, of course, you could possibly wait till we get the adjusted in the rates. And then you're saving, 50, 70, 80 time emblems at least going in there. Yeah, I would absolutely wait to go ahead and build those. That would be my definite advice. How to get more materials for EOG artifacts so past 3 stars. Which artifacts do you mean? Do you mean like the regular ones? I think you mean the class specific. So getting like, not the collections, the artifacts. So getting these down here, these, how do you get more of those? It's time. This is honestly one of the stupid things. So you can get, let's say you unlock the Chaos Bringer, you get it built up to 3 stars. The rest of these just come with time from here. I'm not sure if I got any in here, which I don't right now. But when you start looking at the artifacts, even here, these, your class exclusive artifact fragments, if you're building those out, and I think that's what you're talking about. These essentially just come with time. There's nowhere to farm them, and you get them out of the AFK rewards, and it just comes in time. It's kind of crappy that it does take a stupid amount of time to get these, but they do come from AFK. And of course, we still get these. These, again, with all of the artifacts maxed out, you just get gold, is essentially where we've been taking these and selling all these. But I want to say these you can't even sell. So they're just kind of sitting here. They come with time. It's a long time. Which first Awaken hero to build in chapter 38? If you're building the first Awaken, I would go with Athelia. When you look at the Awaken hero, guys, Athelia is broken. Not only the SP effect that she has, this is very, very strong. But the hero utility-wise, Athelia is one that is used everywhere, which is the same that we see with the Awakened version of Shmira. There is not a game mode that this hero isn't being used. Leica, a little bit less utility, but still being used in a majority of formations as of right now. But again, my priority #1 would be the Awakened version of Leica. What's going on, Pluto? Hope you had a good vacation. I know when you replied to the email that you're on vacation. What's my VIP level right now? It is 16. I think we're still on VIP 16 as of now, right there. Even then, if you look at this, we need 928,000 to get to 17. That's probably going to be a year or two, if not more, spending and capping $100 a month. that is going to be a long, long way off because I believe that's about, what is this, about doubling it? What are we at right now? 1 million. That is what? 1, 2, 3. That's 2 million. So yeah, 16 to 17, you're doubling the amount of experience that is required. And it took me 5 years to get here. So it might be another 5 years before we're on VIP 17. But of course, this is literally all it gives you, which not really worth it at all. I know you do get the 1 extra invigorating essence plus 30. But there's not a need for it anymore because it's been through so many changes. I don't know at what point are they going to update and kind of change some of this. Should I build Gavus or wait for the next Awaken? I have Brutus, Chimera, Leica, Belinda, Athalia. I would wait G-Star. Yeah, Gavus plays a lot more of a defensive role. So when you look at the hero, doesn't do an incredible amount of damage, but Gavus is kind of a more of a defensive. So even looking at like a damage mitigation, like what Peanut does, a star, that's kind of along the same line to what Gavus does. Gavus, of course, being an awakened hero, does it a little bit better, but again, the mitigation, that's why players run Gavus together. At this point, I probably wouldn't invest or put a lot in there to kind of build. We got to pull for dim gear. Yeah, I wish, Alex, they would allow us to get those. Do you think Awaken will come with lower rates now that we have Draconic Highborns as well? I don't know. I wouldn't think so because essentially, Connor, they consider regular heroes. So these are not considered awakened heroes. That was one of the questions I know that we kind of talked about in our creator chat. They are not considered awakened heroes. And that, of course, is why they do not have an SP effect. So these are just considered a little bit of a premier hero, I would say. Almost like a Celestial and Hypo, but not on the awakened level. Was kind of the build, again, kind of from my understanding. So the Awakened hero, and they do some exponential testing where if you look at the primary 4 factions, they give it like a 1 through 8. And then you look at the Awakened heroes, they ranked in like a 12 to 16 range. Nyla and them are a little bit on the higher end, and then the Highborns are kind of in the middle before, not as strong as the Awakened heroes. So again, it seems like it's going to be interesting. Does Gavus make a big difference with Eugene? Not a lot. So even a lot of formations, we don't see Gavus run with Eugene, which again is kind of interesting to see where we know like Rem and Amelia kind of go together. So a lot of these, and again, looking at like Blossom and looking at Jigo, a couple other heroes, a lot of these do not run. Usually Eugene is with the Awakened version of Belinda. Even there's Bron, which is kind of an interesting one to see. But a lot of times they are not run in the same formation. Even right here, there's Matria, and there's Gavus. There is no Eugene. A majority of the time, Drink, they're not run together from what I've normally seen, which is kind of interesting. Should I get dimensional gear for Rem or follow the priority he gave? I would wait. Gear doesn't make a huge difference, Major. So the difference between, and essentially I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So when it comes to gear is not the game changer. You'll get the gear eventually, but looking at a lot of these heroes, and again, when you look at the difference between, let's say, a tier 3 piece, which again, looking kind of the stat comparison, and then looking at a tier 3 piece this way, it's a little less stats, but when you do kind of the multiplication factor of where this is at, it's not an absolute game changer when it comes to the gear. I wouldn't prioritize the gear over other things, especially when it comes to that guild shop. Don't prioritize the dimensional gear over getting heroes. The absolute priority is heroes, period. When you look at this, it is either you have the hero or you don't have the hero. There is no real in between when it comes to these. You have to have the heroes. You have to have the heroes built. And of course, I think we need to link. I think I actually swapped Baba Yaga, which is right there. I swapped, yeah, when we swapped Wukong. This one, let's go ahead and we will unfuse them because, of course, Wukong we don't have built up because we did that swap. So again, looking down here, a 5-star hero essentially that we're not using. There's a lot of them in here, even looking at some of the less desirable heroes. Boom, that's going to take them to 5 stars. And of course, that takes Baba Yaga already built up. If you didn't know how to fuse dimensional heroes, that's exactly how you do it. This takes her to 886 Ascended with the plus 30 signature item, 9 of 9 furniture. And then, of course, it just goes ahead and unlocks everything because we linked the hero together. So bringing us to 1.07 trillion combat rating. And again, that continues to go up. So Baba Yaga is built again with the plus 30. Now, for me, I've been just stockpiling resources like we talked about a little bit earlier. I've been stockpiling everything, including like our space emblems, 550 space emblems. We are just waiting to see what's coming down the pipeline with essentially everything else. But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't prioritize getting the dimensional gear for Rem. I would prioritize getting Eugene out of there before the gear for sure. Chapter 14 done. My new account, Hilduin pulls from scrolls for the win. Yeah, if you get Hilduin early, a lot of players have said Hilduin is broken very, very early. How far should I upgrade Aethys to 60 or not worth it? I didn't, George. I didn't build Aethys up to the 60 for the engraving, because when you look here, is really any beast cage on the battlefield deals the effects of nature's breakthrough within its range. Not a huge game changer. And honestly, it's not a big game changer, because again, when you look at here, it's going to offer a little bit more crowd control. But overall, PvP wise, maybe it would be worth it if you're trying to really push PvP. But a majority of it doesn't really make a big difference. And of course, when you look at all the other game modes, you can essentially just repeat. You can go in there. The 30 is enough for him. I wouldn't push it all the way to a 60. What is the reason to not use artifacts on heroes in some modes? That is dependent on the hero. So there's not very many places where artifacts wouldn't be used. Sometimes it depends on who you're using. So essentially, when you look at some heroes like Ivan will use his ability. And again, kind of looking here, the hero with the highest attack rating. So when you look at the attack rating, is you can change and mess essentially with some of the artifacts, some of the collections. There's ways to game different stuff to get heroes less attack rating. And even some places where in here, let's say you come in here and you remove some of the gear, you're essentially removing the attack rating from the hero just systematically to make it work in some modes. Now, we also see that a lot with like a Thorn Cheese, where some places, even looking at this formation, where the Thorn Cheese, some of the places will run artifacts, some of them we won't run the artifacts, some of them we will even take gear off of some heroes, that way they die faster without wearing gear or without wearing collections. It's really either or. There's a lot of changes in there. You can farm the class-specific artifact shards from the Trial of God. Yeah, once you get to 3, Derek, that's as far as you can go. That's it. I love your channel, by the way. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you can, through the Trial of Gods, you can only get them to 3 stars for the class-specific artifacts. You cannot take them any higher than 3 stars. After that, it is all out of here. This is where you'll pick them up. You can get, again, class-specific artifacts can go to 3 stars, but that's as far as it can go. Going to get going. Oh, see you later, Shady. Do you think Lorzen is a decent campaign character to play with Rosaline and Palmer? You have to be running a high damage dealer, Michelangelo. So Lorzen links 2 heroes together. So very, very similar. That is the reason Lorzen is still being linked. It is the linking ability that he has right here. The Gale, or wait, yeah, it is the Gale Force. So when you link them together, they transfer damage between them. So if you have a big damage dealer, now of course, looking at the Thorn Cheese, linked enemies are going to share the damage, and essentially they're going to take more damage, being able to kill them faster. If you're putting them with Rosaline and Palmer, you're still going to have a hero in there that is going to do a lot of damage. Now, a lot of times, if you run it with, let's say, an awakened version of Athalia, because she will do damage on multiple targets, that is why a lot of players ran where if you have a hero that's doing damage to everyone, those 2 linked heroes are taking a lot more damage because of the link with the damage that is going on there. Yeah, so it does make sense depending on the formation you're running. That is the reason why a lot of players ran Lorzen with Lucretia, is because Lucretia would do damage, the link target would take more damage, and she would literally just truck through everybody really fast because of the link that we had between those heroes. It worked. When you say 27 furniture, should we +2 all furniture, or we ignore a row or make 2 rows +3? So with the furniture, first of all, if you're pay to win, don't go past 9 of 9 furniture. Or if you're free to play, don't strengthen any of the furniture. So there are very specific furniture duck face. When you start building out more furniture, there are very specific ways to build them. So looking at some of the heroes, and let's hop over and see, let me look at Liberta. So there's very, very specific ways to build heroes past the 9 of 9 furniture if you're going past the 9 of 9 furniture. So when you start looking, all three of these are maxed, max 2 and 1, and then all three of these are maxed. So this is essentially the medium furniture is the lowest priority furniture to build. And that is going to be true with every hero that we have. There is essentially primary furniture you want to build first. And I'm trying to, if I had a piece, it's a lot easier to see. But when we're going in here and looking at a hero that you can see back here, we have 18, 14, 15, 26. When you start looking at these heroes, the furniture wants to be built or has to be built in a very, very specific methodology because there are heroes specifically that you want more damage. For instance, when you look at Liberta, you want to max out +3 on all of the furniture that is haste, and you want to go 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. That is going to be the most beneficial when it comes to adding other stats. And I believe as haste furniture is the small room. So essentially, out of the 3 tiers of furniture, you would build all of the small room first. It would be. Is Ivan 60 worth it? It is, George. Ivan plus 60 is worth it, but it is not the number one priority. So it is worth it overall. And again, it's not so much about this and the haste reduction as it is about what he's giving to other heroes. That's kind of the big thing is the higher that you're building Ivan, grants a puppet shield equal to 2,000% of Ivan's attack rating. If you're engraving him higher, he's getting a lot more stats. In point with Ivan's attack rating, higher attack rating means a bigger shield that you're giving on there. And of course, this again makes a big difference on who you're building up a little bit further if the stats are dependent. Because even looking like, let's say the awakened version of Chimera, she is dependent on health. Now, of course, Chimera is kind of unique for health. Talene was the same way where health was a focus. The higher that you build her out, the higher that you build her with stats, the more that you're pushing essentially the health that she can get, the better the hero is going to perform, which works. What's going on, Carol? Hello, Furry Hippo. What is going on? Are those teams with Pharrell going to work late game? They do work late game depending on who you have. So that's going to be part of the big thing is when you start looking at bigger picture, what is going to work? Does Pharrell work later game? Yes, he can definitely work for that crowd control aspect. But again, it's going to be very dependent on which heroes you have built. Is he a priority on the priority list to build? No. But fundamentally, when it comes to crowd control, it will still work. But overall, he's not used a lot when you start getting into late game because you start getting a lot more heroes essentially built out and he doesn't have the power creep. So that's kind of something to remember is when you start looking at heroes, and you can see right here, even the combat rating, because he's an older hero, if we look at a hero that is built the very same, even looking, let's say, some of these heroes are going to be a lot stronger because they're released later, meaning they just have a much higher power creep. Even when we do combat rating, and you can see even with some of the newer heroes, again, not even built as high, where Kelthar, even with a 25 instead of a 30, is stronger. And of course, the power creep just kind of goes up from there. Even with the same build, the power creep essentially overtakes the heroes eventually. If Highborn Dragons aren't classified as awakened heroes, does it mean we'll end up with an awakened dragon? Drinking, it's really too early right now, but could be. We could see an awakened dragon. Not saying it's probably coming anytime soon, but at this point, I wouldn't really put a lot past Lilith. You know, they've said a couple things and then they kind of went back. We seen they weren't going to do this or they weren't going to do that, and then a couple years later we did. There's been a lot of things, and that's why I kind of do take it with a grain of salt, because you never know what's going to come. Now let's see, we do have free to play, 7 days offline. Anyone that is 2 days or greater. So it looks like we have 3 players that are 7 days. I haven't checked this actually in a while. So those 3 will be gone. So if you do have want to throw a request in the friends list, and Lilith, I'm going to go ahead and put Lilith in there. He's tried a couple times. I know he is on my server as well, 578, that they have actually requested. He's requested a couple times to hop in there, and he was actually there last time, if you guys remember. So we'll definitely hit up the friends list right there. I have Halos, Jerome, and Lavatoon as E30. Which of the three needs 60? Drome doesn't need it. Lavatune, I would. Lavatune, I would. Halos not being used as much as we once seen it. Even Halos, the 60 on Halos is good, but again, utility-wise, we're starting to see him really fall down the tier list. Lavatune is still a #1 SSS, so top tier priority hero. I would put the E60 on Lavatune first. Out of those three heroes, I absolutely wouldn't. I'm a new player. Could you explain why CC is good in PvP modes? So player versus player, PvP wins. And that's really it. So when you look at crowd control, when you look at heroes that can provide crowd control, a hero that is crowd controlled, so essentially they can't do anything, that is the broken part of AFK Arena. If you have the ability to stop the enemy team from doing damage, from using their abilities, you win. And that's really it. So again, when you start looking at the PvP, looking even down here, let's say the Legends Champion, when you look at everything in here, is PvP is going to be essentially the winner. And even when it comes to high level deficiencies, PvP is the winner, period. When you start looking again at heroes that can kind of crowd control or that do have some PvP, they are absolutely going to win, and they're going to win every single time. If you can attack before the other team, if you can crowd control them, if they can get essentially sit there and do nothing, they will absolutely win. Should I invest in Thorin Chapter 38? If you're going to do the Thorin cheese, yes. And the only thing that Thorin needs, guys, remember, Thorin is a very, very basic Thorin. Even if you just unlocked essentially this, but you'll want to get him to a plus 30. 9 of 9 furniture, no engraving, nothing else. You'll get him there eventually, but even if you do get him to a 20, the plus 20 is going to work well. Even early game, having him unlocked. If you're going to do the Thorin cheese, Thorin does still work, and does still work. No, SI 39 of 9, yes, that is it. So just what Major said, so the 30 signature item, 9 of 9 furniture, that is it. What is going on, Soul? Are they bringing the increased Stargazer to the time summon rates? Yes, they are. So the rates are coming, guys. We don't know exactly. They said by patch 1.44 or 144 that we would see the increased rates, which means the probability of this is going to 2.5. It's going to be next patch, which is not the one coming up on Tuesday, but it should be the patch after that, if not the next patch, that we're going to see the increased rates. They said they're coming. We're just waiting to see exactly when it is. But yes, the increased rates are coming. We know they're coming down the road. Please, FHG, can you add me? Where are you at, Major? Simon. We have Simon here. Let's go ahead. I'll add Simon. I don't see you, Major. That was my only friend's request. I don't see it. I'm not sure. And I don't think you're Simon. I know Simon was on here a little bit. Papa Suck. Papa Spuck? I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to throw up there. But yeah, I don't see it on there on the friend's request. God, I think all the meta characters a bit of Awaken, so I have to guess everything Pharrell will work. I think he's good with Pharrell might be built. Yeah, and Pharrell, again, crowd control works. Even when you look at the PvP aspect, crowd control works, guys. That is really something that has not changed through all of AFK Arena, is when you start looking, again, big picture, crowd control will work, and crowd control does work for an incredible amount of time. All right, before I forget, I do want to drop in here and do there's Albion, and I think if Lilith accepts, I don't know if that's going to accept as well, but there is our gifting membership. Now we do the gifting of the membership, goes out to Starduster, is gifted with a membership, so very, very cool. Congratulations. Wait, I added you, that's my name. Mauler Tower is the lowest. I reached 3 teams for. Duckface, the easiest way to do it when it comes to Maulers, there's really 3rd floor. If you have Sophia, if you have Brutus, if you have Naruko, even looking at Crescio, those are really the 4 driving force. You split them into 3 teams. Easiest way to do it, especially because of the formations. This is the easiest way because based on the heroes that you have, I just picked this first formation. I know my level is way higher than the first formation, which means I should be able to get through here earlier. But looking at this formation, again, we have Brutus in here. You're going to break Brutus into Crescio, into Kren, into Sophia. And either way, you're going to go in there and you're going to be able to go through the content just based on the ability to essentially make progression here based on the heroes. If you don't have some of those built, it's a struggle. Mauler Tower has always literally always been the absolute worst tower to go through, Duckface. This is where everyone's stuck, including myself. Some of these formations, and looking on this one, here is Sophia in here with Naruko. There's a couple core heroes that essentially do incredibly well. Might take you a lot of attempts to get it done, but I just let this farm. I know it's harder on a phone, mobile device, but since I'm playing on BlueStacks, I literally just let this run until it wins. That is it. Oh, look, I see me, Claus 17. Congratulations, Starduster. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, like I said, every time we do the streams, guys, we do the giveaways in here. Like I said, Anasta is in here, Crescio is in here. Those are really the other big driving forces that we see within here. If they can't get it down, we just let it run and repeat. It'll go through until essentially we get it done or we get defeated ourselves. And there we go. There's another floor right there completed, giving us some more gold, which of course, we've talked about it a lot. We need a lot more things for gold. We literally don't have anything to spend our gold on. I'm at like 11 billion, I think 12 billion gold. At this point, there's nothing to spend the gold on. So it's pretty sad. But guys, big picture, when you think of AFK Arena, farming the campaign, because now you're getting a lot more stuff out of there, getting more AFK rewards, but farm the towers. When it comes to these towers, this is literally the best place to get everything out of AFK Arena. It is the towers in their entirety. You have to be farming these all the time. This never stops. 5 years I've been farming these silly towers, and I'm still farming the towers, waiting for a dimensional tower, waiting for a draconic tower. I am hoping that we get. Should I E60 Rem, or what about SI40? I did. Rem, I went all out. Now, Rem, of course, is still one of the top priority heroes when it comes to a dimensional hero. And with the SI40, I would build it slowly, getting those emblems of space versus using other resources in there. So once you get to a point of getting those emblems out of the shop every single time, I built Rem slow. That's the reason why we farm all of those emblems. I would definitely go ahead and build those out. What do you suggest for the wish list? Stargazer choice, Temple of Time choice, furniture wish list. Duckface, check the guide section in the YouTube video. That is a insane amount of content. There's a noob guide in there. It says the new guide for noobs. That literally covers everything that you just asked right there, Duckface. So go into the guide section. It is in there. It says, I think it says like updated guide for noobs or something like that. Definitely check it out. That is literally what it should be in there. For what it is. It has all of that. It has the wish list, the Stargazer, the Temple of Time. It has everything in that very, very early beginning guide. I cannot find your account. If you do FHG, that is what usually comes up. Let me see. We got through one floor in here. I don't know if Brutus is going to do this one. But floor, look at that. 1,200 floors. That's crazy. Let me see. So Simon was on there. Where is... Yeah, I'll save a slot for you, Major. Yeah, there is. Like I said, Duckface, it's one PDF that's on there. Or you can put in your ID in the comments. The ID is 813215553. Oh, I forgot a 3. 813215553. Forgot my last digit. There you go. So there's the 3. That is the ID right up there. And we are in Adventure Walk. We're doing well, guys. Again, 1.08 trillion. We are absolutely getting there when it comes to the build. I'll add you just in a second, Major, when you pop up. But guys, that is going to do it for Sunday's stream. Absolutely crazy. Hello, I just started today. I got Draconic Mythic Choice Chest. Maybe gives a gear or something, which is best. So if you got the Mythic Chest, get the hero. I think the first chest will give you the copy of the Dragonborn. I think it'll give you a copy of Hildwyn. I would absolutely. Who would you E60 and 40 in order between Rem, Waken, Belinda, Demia, and Liberta? Definitely, I would absolutely do Liberta first. He was actually the very, very first one that I did build right here. Liberta is the first one that I built. Again, damage aspect. When you look at utility, Liberta is still one of the absolute biggest heroes that we have that I would build. Demia doesn't really need the 40. Rem, Belinda, again, both of them could kind of use it, but again, if you're not building it, it would absolutely work. Thank you very much for videos I've played for years. I've felt very behind for dumb decisions. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love doing them, guys. I love being able to talk to you guys on live streams. That's why I like doing the question and answer. Have a lot more content, a lot more videos that are coming. Have a ton of stuff that is coming to AFK Arena. I got in my name, Papa Spunk. I think he got it in there. There we go. There we go. We'll accept everything else. So there, that puts all the rest of them there. We're going to do the ignore for now, and that puts us at 40 and 40. So unfortunately, Lith wasn't on. We'll have to pick him up next time, but that is very cool. Shame there's no pocket version for you. Oh, shame there's no pocket version. Soon we'll get there. We will get there, guys. But all right, like I said, that is going to do it for Sunday stream. Always thank you for all the love and support, guys. All the memberships for the channel, all the views, everything else. 38,000 subscribers we are coming up on, which is absolutely crazy. And Major, thank you for helping out with the chat. I know it's really big when I don't catch some of the questions or I can't answer all of them. So definitely thank you. Big shout out to Major for picking up some of those questions if I miss any of them. But if you do have questions, guys, definitely let me know in the comments. Always willing to go in there and I answer questions that I can get to. A lot of players also go in there and answer questions as well. Also have the Discord server, so if you have specific questions, there is a ton out there for content. So guys, that is going to do it again for today's Sunday live stream. Have a great day. I'm going to go out. My kids are actually in the pool right now playing. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a great day. And as always, thank you guys for watching.